message from Adam alayhi salam until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that one consistent message we know is Tawheed.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All thanks is to Allah. Alhamdulillah. Everything I have, everything I own, everything I eat is thanks to you. Every breath I take, every bird I hear, every smile I see is thanks to you. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All thanks.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تسألون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. My brothers, my sisters, Alhamdulillah, we're about to discuss the very core belief of our faith, and that is Tawheed, that is Aqidah. And I want the session to be one that is interactive. Feel free to interrupt at any moment, please. Because one session that is interactive is one where we can talk and then perhaps enlighten each other, so that we can see where the point of discussion has begun and where it should end. This Aqidah, because this is the most fundamental part of our deen. If you brothers and sisters get this right, the rest will be right. Yeah? If you get this wrong, the rest will crumble. And by crumbles I mean it doesn't count. To this we look and seek the evidence. Like last month we discussed on the very basic of seeking knowledge. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلمين. That seeking knowledge is compulsory upon every Muslim, be it a man, a woman, rich, poor, slave, free person. It's compulsory. By compulsory, we mean we all must seek knowledge. Right? So what is Aqidah? I want to begin by that, by saying, what is Aqidah? Who will put their hands up and say, this is what I think of Aqidah. Exactly what we did last month. And don't be afraid of answering it wrong, because we want to see and gauge where are we at the moment and where should we bring this discussion or majlis into. Who could tell me what is Aqidah? What is Aqidah? Simple? Harafiyah? Or ma'na istilah? What is Aqidah? You see, we speak about Aqidah all the time, right? I mean, this is the same thing, right? We speak about Aqidah all the time. But what do we mean by Aqidah? Right. Aqidah means creed. It means belief. It means the fundamentals of the belief of a deen. Right? If we were to build a building, This building, the very pile of foundations that we put and hammer into the ground is the Aqidah, upon which we are going to build the houses, the buildings. And this is what Aqidah means, the belief system. We're about to discuss the book. Yeah, this is Minhaj al-Muslimin by Sheikh Abu Bakr al-Jazairi rahimahullah. Right? He actually lived to an old age of 101 years old, in the base of my understanding. He only simply passed away 2 years ago. Yeah? It's important that we understood the works of the scholars and base the Aqidah based on a consensus. Right? We discuss about consensus all the time because this Deen al-Islam is the deen that is based on consensus. Not my thoughts, not my words, not my understanding, but the understanding of the people that have come before us. And by this we mean the understanding and the practice of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. We discussed this last month, why we say that this is the very fundamentals and based on evidence, because we know that Deen al-Islam came and revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibril alayhi salam into Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is a consensus. Right? Nobody will ever say that it comes straight from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam without Jibril alayhi salam. No. We know and we are unanimous. Whether we follow the school of thoughts of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, or whether we follow the school of thoughts of Imam Malik rahimahullah, or Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, or Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, or Imam al-Awza'i rahimahullah, or Al-Imam al-Thawri rahimahullah, and you name it. Because although we know this four school of thoughts, there were actually more than this four school of thoughts. The only reason we know only four today is because the other 2, 3 or 4 may not have enough students to carry them into the point that we are today. But they were unanimous with regards to their Aqidah. Now we know that Aqidah, it means a belief system, the creed. So what is the first and foremost aspect of belief? What makes us Muslim? And I want you brothers and sisters to engage in this, because that's how we learn. And we learn heaps from each other. What makes the first point of belief? Believe in one God, subhanAllah. So we believe in Allah. Yeah? We believe in Allah, which is God the Almighty in Arabic. You see, if I were to tell you another belief, another creed, another belief system, for example, Christianity, for example, one would struggle, and in fact will never find that famous one-liner where we say, show me the direct statement, an unambiguous, unequivocal statement from Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, that says that I am God, so worship me. Right? Could they ever find that? Never. We've been asking this. Our scholars have been asking this for years and years and years. Right? So the very simple fact that they couldn't answer this suggests that it is at least ambiguous, if not totally misleading. Here the Muslimin, us the Muslimin, the so-called Muslimin, right? We know with certainty. Has anyone here has doubt about who should we worship? Why? Why though? I mean, we want to be intelligent in believing in Allah and learning this Deen al-Islam. Because we don't want to be one of those Muslims that are Muslims because of our father, because of our parents, because of our grandparents. And many of us are simply there. Alhamdulillah, it's one of the greatest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah has made us Muslims. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But we need to take the next steps. Not to become a layman person, not to become a lay person that accepts Islam and do not take it through. You see, we can say with certainty in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proclaims. Not one place, not 10, not 50, but in the hundreds. Okay? Here, Sheikh Al-Jazairi rahimahullah said, the Muslims believes in Allah the Most High. He believes in the existence of the Lord and that it is He who originated the heavens and the earth. And He knows the seen and the unseen as well. Is he talking about himself, or is he simply quoting the ayah of the Quran? An intelligent Muslims simply quote قال الله قال رسول قال الصحابة. That's it. He is too scared to quote from himself, for he may not be all correct. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding us and informing us. Yeah? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن ربكم الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على الأرض. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed your Lord is Allah. It is a clear statement, not ambiguous, not equivocal, but straight statement, direct statement. We see this in many parts of the Quran. In Surah Al-Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Again, that is a direct statement. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, a direct statement. All through the Quran, we see all direct statement. So we do not need to argue that there is no need for tafsir for this, for the reason that we are looking for, is it a direct statement? We will read the tafsir so that we know what it means, how it should be explained. But we know it's a direct statement. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed your Lord is Allah who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. In 6 days. And then He ascended onto the throne. He brings the night as a cover over the day. So here we are unanimous that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ascended on His throne. Astawa ala al-arsh. We discussed this last month, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He positioned Himself Fis-sama, astawa ala al-arsh. Any other opinion to this, it shall be rejected. None of the 4 Imams have any difference of opinion. None of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in had any difference of opinion. None of the Tabi'in rahimahumullah ajma'in had any difference of opinion. None of the Tabi'in rahimahumullah ajma'in had a difference of opinion. And therefore, this deen has come to us as a consensus. By this, they were unanimous. They were unanimous. It was taught. It's come from Allah Rabbul Alameen via Jibril alayhi salam into Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and then into the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in. And this is the chain of transmissions of the Deen al-Islam. Any other, we shall ask them what is and where is your proof. If a person comes here and say, no, I have a difference of opinion, we then shall ask him or her, where do you get that from? So we need to stay away from the understanding that we say that all of so and so says something to me, Fulan bin Fulan, Fulana binti Fulan say this, because by Allah, none of them, none of the Sheikh, none of this Ustads, none of this Maulana can even stand for himself. On the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of Yawm al-Hisab, each and every one of us shall be asked and shall be responsible and accountable for our own deeds and understanding. And this is the beauty of Islam. You and I and everyone is simply sitting here tonight learning the deen by consensus. By consensus. If anything that I want you brothers and sisters come home tonight is to understand that the chain of transmission is a consensus that none of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in had any difference of opinion. And the question is, we have many prophets and messengers that Allah has sent unto us. How many prophets of Allah has been sent now? Who will answer this? So we'll bring the jackets. So we'll bring the thing for Hadiyah. Yeah. Bring the tops. Yeah. Who can tell? How many prophets of Allah? Come on, my brothers. We know this. I mean, this is one of the engage and learning that we need to all come in together.
You want to mention in Quran 25?
Yeah. Well done, my brother. See, 25 is the one that we were taught in the Quran and mentioned in the Quran, right? But there was certainly more than that has been seen there. On one narration that I know, it's over 120,000 of prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that have been seen down. So there are prophets that came down from different kinds, from different eras. But we are unanimous that there are 25 that we need to learn of. From Adam alayhi salam to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And also we are unanimous that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the seal of the prophets. So today, if we see a sect, a group, are proclaiming that there are other prophets, that shall be rejected. We should not entertain their ideas, because now you have sent a message that is contrary to what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us, right? And also that is Aqidah. The Aqidah of the Ahlul Sunnah is that we follow the consensus of the Sahaba radiallahu ajma'in. And here clearly, although we know of the four school of thoughts, the four Imam as we know it, rahimahumullah ajma'in, yet they did not differ in this opinion. Yet they did not have a difference or second opinion with regards to the Aqidah, as in where is Allah. They didn't have the opinion that is different to the fact that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final prophet of Allah. So here we know exactly those that have come and say and proclaim that there is other prophets, that he or she is a prophet of Allah, waliyadu billah. They are misled. They are misled. And that's it. We shouldn't give them any space or time, nor every second. A second would have been far too long for them to talk after that. My dear brothers, of that 25 prophets of Allah, listen to this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He's saying, when He called His prophet Musa alayhi salam, upon him be peace from the right bank of the valley, from a tree on a hallowed ground. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Musa, Inna lanallaha rabbul alameen. Musa, verily I am Allah, the Lord of all that exists. Again, another direct statement. So there are hundreds of direct statements in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is proclaiming that He is Allah, the Lord of all that exists. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala state in His grandeur and mention some of His names and attributes. Okay. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us about Asma al-Husna. When we break down the Tawheed, we are going to see three portions of it, or three different types of it. One that is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, that is Allah as one that we worship. And then Tawheed Uluhiyyah, as in how we shall worship Him. How must we conduct our ibadah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third part is Tawheed Asma' wa Sifat, the names of Allah and the Sifat and the conditions of it. And all this, the Muslimin have agreed that although we know 99 names, we are not limiting the names of Allah to 99. But to come up and say that I know of the 100th name of Allah would simply be wrong. We know of 99 names, and that's it. So here is how the logic of the Muslim works. He or she finds the evidence, a clear evidence, and simply follows that. Sama'na wa ata'na. We don't go and engage in a logic. Islam does not permit logics, but with regards to the Aqidah, your logics will set you astray. It is as simple as that. So this makes the very core belief of Islam. The belief is one God, the belief in Allah. What I want to confirm here is that of the 124,000 prophets and messenger of Allah, confirming the existence and the lordship of Allah over all their creatures. What would be the one message of this 124,000 prophets of Allah that they relayed and taught us from the beginning of Adam alayhi salam until Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What would be the one message? What would be the one message, my brothers and sisters?
Your Lord is one.
One God. Perfect, my brother, yeah. That's it. Unanimous. No difference of opinion. From the day Adam alayhi salam until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one message, one God. Worship Him. Worship that one God, Allah Rabbul Alameen. Why would then this one message become so important? Can anybody come up with perhaps what you've read? Why is it so important? What do you reckon about it? Why is it so important that we stick to this and stick to this only? I want to draw an analogy here. Can I ask, one of my brother here, right? He just come from Crashits, Jazakallah, my brother. Allah reward you. This is going to be perhaps one of the longest steps for you to come into the majlis of knowledge. May Allah reward you in heaps. If you have a house, what would be the single biggest mistake I can make in your house that you will never forgive me? And that's exactly that, right? Or you sisters, feel free. I've opened up this majlis by saying that please interrupt this at any time, pitch in, engage in discussion, and we shall learn from each other. The one who's speaking, not necessarily more knowledgeable than the one that's listening. What would be the biggest mistake, my brother?
Burn the house.
Burn the house, okay. I'm gonna go better than that. I'm gonna go worse than that, really. I'm gonna say that if I come to your house and I say that's your house, it's my house. Right? And that's exactly that. We've been created by Allah Azza wa Jal, and now we are denying the one that has created us. Denying the rizq that Allah has given us by saying that I'm gonna ignore you, Ya Allah, waliyadu billah, and worship other things. And to Allah Rabbul Alameen, this is the single biggest mistake. Right? Does it make sense? Because any other mistakes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He will forgive. Inna Allah an yushrak. Allah will not forgive anything in the sins of shirk, associating others with Allah. This is just far too much, unless one repent. But look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here that even if you've committed shirk, whether we talk shirk al-kabir or sharir, whether it is big or small, if you come and repent towards Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive. One of the famous, I think, in my understanding, this is perhaps one of the highlights really, is Pharaoh, la'natullah alayh. I don't know of any person that have corrupted this land, this world more than he did. I think we will agree to that point. And he, Allah alayhi, when he went down into the bottom of the oceans, before the ruh reaches the throat, Jibril alayhi salam asked Allah Rabbul Alameen by saying, Ya Allah, should he repent now and accept the Shahada, would that be counted? And by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said yes. And that is the extent of the mercy of Allah. So long that if we repent, whether we were in a state of shirk, it shall be forgiven. But the problem, my dear brothers, is that when we don't know that we've committed shirk, if we get into a position that we thought we did not commit shirk, but we are actually on shirk. This I want to highlight the story of Imam Abdul-Jabbars, rahimahullah, where he said shirk al-shagir may not be visible because sometimes it is as if you are walking, or like a black ant that walks on the black stone in the pitch black night, midnight for example. Can you imagine an ant that is black walking on a black stone and it's in the middle of the night? And that's really the very core belief of Islam, to really be mindful where we are. If we follow our own desires, whims and desires, maybe, just maybe, we may fall into that trap of shirk. We can make the mistakes. We can make the mistakes. If we are aware of the mistakes, we can always come back to Allah. My brothers and sisters, if we talk about someone who committed the sin of adultery, a zani, we would feel very difficult to sit here knowing that a person always committing zina and does not repent, right? You know, we will feel a little bit, you know, this is just human. However, that sin is still forgivable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nowhere near the extent of shirk. Because even until today, we see many Muslims that still believe in contrary to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the Quran. What I mean by this, we know people might still put their hands up and say that Allah is everywhere, for example, or Allah is in their heart. Where is the evidence of this, my dear brothers and sisters? We do not know of any other opinion. The opinion is Astawa ala al-ars. Shaykh al-Islam, and Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah explained this, that if you were really wanting to know the truth, you ask a young child, perhaps a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, one who's not very fluent in speaking, and you ask them, where is Allah? The fitrah will come, and he or she will say, at the very least, the sama, in the sky, or in the word that reflects the same meaning. Now that we got this point clear, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of the characteristics and conditions of Allah can only be described from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the Quran and what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us. So we simply here taking the road that is clear with the evidence, and not taking a road or an opinion that may be right or may be wrong. Because this is very important. I want to give you a statistics. Before the 80s, right, before the 80s, 81% of the Kiwis, or the New Zealanders, were Christians. The most recent statistics, it sits at 35%. Right. Some of them, they blame Islam as it comes. But the reality is they do not lose the Christianity to Islam, but they lose it to atheism. Why? This very concept, my sisters and my brothers, the concept of one Allah and a direct, unambiguous, unequivocal statement. Because now they start thinking, as an intelligent person, we are born with intelligence, intellectuals. We will question this. We can't explain the very core of the belief in terms of who you shall worship. The rest crumbles. Message from Adam alayhi salam until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that one consistent message we know as Tawheed. Right? So this is in Arabic, in the Lughat al-Arabiya, Nabi Sallallahu said, this is the very core of a belief that we must bite using our molar teeth. You know the molar teeth is the teeth at the very back. Yeah? What do they mean by this? When Nabi Sallallahu said, grab and bite. Why didn't he say, grab with your hands? With your legs? Because this is the last defense. The last defense, my brothers and sisters. The Sahaba radiallahu ajma'in, and we know this, in the Ghazwa, in the battle, when they hold that flag that says La ilaha illallah, they will never let it down. If their hands got cut off, this one will come. Right? And if this is off, the leg, one of the feet will be hanging onto that. If they were to lose the two legs and the two arms, what's left? The molar teeth. They grab and bite it. That's it. The only thing that can come next is when they get the heads are cut off. So what it means, this is the dearest assets that we have. But we can't just say we have Tawheed and don't understand Tawheed. We can't be like them. The best of us is those that have the knowledge and act accordingly. Yeah? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. They believe, proper belief, and then أَمَالُ الصَّالِحِ. It goes hand in hand. Because if we don't have this, then we fall into the second or third or fourth category. Here, the second category, they have the knowledge and never acted upon it, like the Jews. Or they had no knowledge and acted on it, like the Christians. Or the very worst, no knowledge, no amal. Waliyadu billah. How low can we go? Today, we have sources of information coming to us. If Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah used to spend a week, maybe even further, in collecting the one hadith, my brothers and sisters. Today, even in our phones, there may even be Kutub al-Sittah, the 6 canonical hadiths, book in there, and even more. And even more. Yes, we have to have a set. Yes, we have to learn from an alim and a scholar. Because there's a saying in Arabic, those that don't learn from a scholar, perhaps they've learned from the Satan. We don't want to be there. But this is not an excuse for us not to learn. We've got the ability and intelligence and intellectuals to learn. We've learned English, the most of us have. We've learned, I see my brothers and sisters here with PhD in this room, you know, or just about. So we've proven we can learn. But why is it when it comes to the deen, We get very, very complacent. We feel tired. We feel too hard. And it's almost a no-go zone. Right? So my brothers, this very concept of the Aqidah, really what brings people into Islam. If we look at this from the point of view of the people that have learned or heard about Allah, they generally learn about this from 4 sources. Right? These are the 4 ways we can learn about Islam or learn about the Aqidah, the Tawheed. Who can tell me among the 4 ways or pathways to learn about Allah, among others, what would that be? For example, there's Fulan, never heard about Islam, never come into a masjid, never learned about the Quran, never heard any hadith. What would be the why for him? Because you know Allah is adil, right? Allah is adil. We are unanimous because no other words, whether you are in Pakistan, in Africa, they do not have a word for adil. Adil is adil. Because before this word is revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel alayhi salam to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they don't know the word adil. Nobody heard of this word. Right? So among the 4, what would it be? What do you think it may be? I'll start. First, it is fitrah. Right? Fitrah is natural predisposition. A state of natural predisposition. Then, for example, when we're hungry, we need to eat. When we are thirsty, we need to drink. These are fitrah. You go any other way than this, you are against the fitrah. 2, natural experience and observation. So people can learn from Allah through the creation of Allah. They see the moon, they see the sun, and indeed this is how Ibrahim alayhi salam learned about Allah. By observing and the experience that if it's worthy to be worshipped, then it has to be the most absolute, the most eternal. 3rd, revelation. Wahy. But for many of our brothers and sisters that are not yet Muslims, this is often the last point. They engage themselves in the fitrah, in the natural predisposition, because the fitrah is saying that if this deen is correct, it comes from that one Almighty God, then it has to fulfill all the characteristics of the human needs. Then they look at the observation and the experience that they see. Right? But there's a 3rd point before we come into wahy or revelations. And we all have this. It's called the reasoning or akal. This is 4 ways or pathways that people will learn about Allah. That's why in Islam, our point of discussions, first and foremost, and without a fail, we will always discuss Tawheed. But the problem with us today, we tend to get carried away or get busy discussing fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, and other things before we even understood who is Allah and how Allah shall be worshipped and how Allah wants to be worshipped. The very basic conditions are that Allah can only be worshipped with knowledge. Attiba' ala Rasul, according to the way that has been taught to us by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know that salah is great, it is good. But imagine if someone started to think and making it up and saying that if Zuhr is 4 rak'ah and it's great, I'm going to pray 5. But we know it is consensus that Zuhr is 4, Fajr is 2, Asr is 4, Maghrib are 3, and Isha is also 4. And this is why this Deen al-Islam is often also referred to as Dinul Tawheed. Get this part right, the rest will come right. My brothers, my sisters, it is great that we discuss fiqh. But fiqh is what you take upon yourself. We shouldn't be jumping into conclusion because we see others are perhaps behaving slightly different to us. Islam is vast. What we know and may know may not be what others know. Similarly, what he, she. I know we live in among doctors here in this community and other places too. Their testimony, my brothers, it is not an easy word. It may be easy today, but when it is our time to be in Sakratul Maut, we pray to Allah that we are able to utter that words. Why is it difficult? It's because we shall die as how we live. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رجولا مات على ما عاش عليه. A person shall die as how he lives. Subhanallah. This hadith, it shakes me to the core. Because by Allah, it is the truth. We see today, with the advancement of technology, the social media, we see people that are in the state of majlis they die. Subhanallah. Or in the ruku', or in sajda, and the minbar, and the khutbah. But by Allah, we know that person, he or she, is worshipping Allah all the time. Because by Allah, it is an impossible thing that we are looking to die in the state of husn al-khatimah, or reading the Quran, if you don't read the Quran. One word, my brothers and sisters, dream on. If you want to die in the state of sajda, and you do not make salatul jama'ah in the congregation something that is important to you, again, we're not going to achieve that. رَجُولًا مَاتَ عَلَى مَا عَاشَ عَلَيْهِ. A person shall die as how he lives. So we need to remind ourselves here that if we want to utter La ilaha illallah as our last and final words, because we know it means a lot. It is the greatest in weight, in the mizan, in the scale of Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is it. This is it. Nothing even comes close to this. But can you imagine if we come into our death and we've practiced and had belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is in contrary to what Allah has revealed? Where would be our fight? My brothers and my sisters, in Islam it is not how much we know, but it is more how much of correctness is what we know. We are far better having smaller knowledge but correct, rather than a great deal of knowledge that perhaps is ambiguous or not supported. We won't go through our school, our bachelor degrees, our master's degrees, our PhD degrees without references. Every single one of us here that have come through university will need to write journals, references. Why wouldn't we do the same with Islam? Why would we take the chance of understanding this deen without evidence? We simply shouldn't do that. Why should we follow an ustad whose faith is not even clear? A sheikh. We can't go into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then say to Allah, Ya Allah, I followed Fulan and Fulan. We have to follow and learn, yes, but we ask of the evidence. My brothers and sisters, this is the very foundations of Aqidah in Islam. I know we're going to break for Maghrib shortly. Before that, I'm wondering whether there is any questions perhaps so far, because this is the heaviest of discussion. I do not know of any discussion that is heavier than Tawheed, than Aqidah. One that we all continue to seek learning from the ulama, kibar al ulama, to sit in his majlis to learn about this. I remember Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, in the earliest of the scholars of Islam, the pious generations, they used to say that they learned Tawheed in the matters of years and years and years, even in the 10 of years. Some said 20, 30, 40 years. And then they learned about Akhlaq. Only then they will learn about fiqh. Any question, my brothers and sisters, before we go into the break for Maghrib? Please, I want this to be interaction that is, that is two ways. Don't be scared. I mean, this is exactly that. The one who's speaking is not having more knowledge than the one who's listening. Yes, my brother.
I don't know whether I heard somewhere the term Son of God, it was a Jewish word in reference as a prophet, not literally meaning Son of God, but probably the Christian probably being misled, saying that the Son of God in a literal form, but the original word as Son of God is because it was within the Jewish community. So the Son of God has been translated because it was actually getting more influence in the Europe and translated by the Greek and also Rome, saying Son of God as literally meaning Son of God. And to justify that, therefore, if you have a Son of God, then you have the Mother.
Absolutely. Very, very good questions, very, very deep questions, really. I mean, Jazakallah, my brother, for, enlightening us. I would agree, my brother, because the problem that we see here in Injil, you have to understand that Bible is not Injil. Let us not be wrong here. Injil is in Bible. Yeah. In Bible, we have no problems with the word Son of God, because if Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, is Son of God, so was Moses, peace be upon him, so was David. No problem. So really, this is simply like a word meaning the creation of God, to say that they were all the Son of God. We have no problems there. But what we have problems about is when they start worshipping that Son of God and making the creation of God becomes a creator. Because if I want to be deeper in here, like I said, the scholars have asked, the Christian scholars, in fact there is a body called, if you're really interested in this, called the Codex Sinaiticus. Codex Sinaiticus is a league of the highest ranking Christian scholars of all the different denominations. Yeah, they sit there and they couldn't find that one powerful verse. We are always asking, give us that one verse, one only, not two, where Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, said that I'm God, so worship me. I've even said this wherever I go in lectures, and I said, look, my brothers, my sisters, Reverend, give me that one verse. If you produce that one verse that is unambiguous, unequivocal, I'll accept Christianity now. And I'm not the only one saying that. I'm nothing. I'm only a student of a student of a student, of knowledge. But I knew our scholars have asked us, and they've challenged that, open challenge. But if you cannot produce such a verse, come into Islam. That's a fair comment. If you can produce that statement in your Bible, not in my Quran, right? We shall come into Christianity. But if you can't, please accept Islam. What option would you have then? And one of this core thing, but we'll discuss another thing, because we really want to get into this Tawheed. But my brothers, my sisters, any questions or anything that you think will benefit in this discussion, please don't be shy. I mean, I don't think You know, you're speaking to your brother. You're not speaking to a scholar, my brothers. You're talking to your brother. Come on. Before we break for Maghrib. Here, yeah, Maghrib has come. I think we'll break and then we'll carry on after that. Bismillah, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, all thanks is to Allah. Alhamdulillah, 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 all thanks is to Allah. Every drop of rain is a mercy from above, feeding all the earth is thanks to you.
What makes this deen perfect and great and easy is the fact that every single deed we do, it is also an act of worship. Right? One could be playing with his wife, and that is ibadah. How great is that? No other deen before us had these options. But the very point of difference is, we need to surrender into Allah the Almighty, the One, in every respect. So in Islam, from the point that we wake up in the morning to the point that we go to bed, we're in Tawheed. When we say Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur, see there, it's Tawheed. We have just praises Allah. All praises belongs to Allah. That have wakened me up, that make me back into life after death. And then into Allah we shall return. So what it means then, we've got a clear understanding and we are sensitive to the fact that every single breath we take is from Allah. Then we wake up, right? What do we do when we wake up? We go to the bathroom. Here we acknowledge Allah again. Bismillah. Allah, Bismillah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hubuth wal haba'ith. We have to sign that as we come into the bathroom. Do you know we are seeking refuge from the hubuth and the haba'ith? Right? No other deen come close to this. There is no other revelation come even close, not even 1/10, 100th of Islam. It's the fact that we are in the state of Tawheed. Then perhaps we eat or drink and we say Bismillah. In the name of Allah, we acknowledge the one and only, the one that's worthy to be acknowledged, Allah Rabbul Alameen. So without the right understanding, imagine if you think that, yeah, I have Tawheed, I understand Allah is one, but you don't acknowledge Allah in every step of our life, then we're kidding ourselves. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Rabban min dhikrullah. Make your lisan, your tongue wet with dhikrullah. A Muslim, when they graduate to become a mu'min, he or she does not only remember Allah Rabbul Alameen just in the state of salah, but a mu'min remembers Allah Azza wa Jal in every step. When we walk outside, we say Bismillahi tawakkaltu ala Allah. Straight away, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Again, we admit, acknowledge and surrender to Allah. So if we die, we are in the state of Tawheed. When we eat, we say Bismillah. Then we finish eating and we say Alhamdulillahi alladhi at'amana wa saqana wa ja'alana min al-muslimin. So every step of a mu'min's doing is an act of surrendering in total submission towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No exception. So therefore, only those that understood this correctly and properly can really help the most absolute of reliance towards Allah. Once a person have realized that I have got the full reliance onto Allah, the only deity worthy to be worshipped, then we can truly say that we are well on our way to understand this deen of Islam. Because unless we understand this, look in every dua, and I mean every dua. Although the dua are varied and many indeed, a mu'min also look at the dua in the Quran. We don't just go and make a dua. You know, someone may know Arabic and they say, oh, I'm going to make a dua. No, you don't. Why don't a mu'min simply not making any dua? Why is the habit of a mu'min looking for narrations? Looking for practices of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Why? Because we know it is proven. Because we know it has evidence. Because we know it's correct. If we have this understanding that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is ma'asum, right? So therefore, why should we follow anybody else that is not ma'asum? It doesn't make sense. Our logic dictates that we should follow one that is correct and the most absolute in value. So why would someone follow anything other than the most absolute? Other than the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded in the Quran in multiple places. So that's the reason, my brothers and my sisters, that we continue to seek and look for a better understanding and sit in the majlis so that we increase ourselves in knowledge. When the Reza said, Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahman, it is not that we increase simply in status by reciting, by reading, no. But through knowledge we increase and elevate ourselves. What? By Allah, no wealth of this world can increase us in status. The billions of dollars of this world don't increase us in status. Right? Because the billions of dollars that we have today, for once, it's defeated. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, listen to this. رَكَعَةٍ قَبْلَ الْفَجْرِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. The two rak'ah before the Salatul Fajr, the Salatul Sunnah, خَيْرٌ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. It is better than this world and all its contents. For a start, if we have any intellect in ourselves, we know straight away that billions of dollars, it's defeated. Just like that, the one single Salatul Sunnah, 2 rak'ah before Fajr, has defeated it. So where would your billions be then? It's nothing. But the understanding of this, or the perspective, can only be that يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And we will not have that يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ only in the exception that we are into the utmost reliance into Allah Rabbul Alameen. You see, in the recent event of this disease, this corona, yeah? The whole world is busy with us. I'm not saying we're not making any ikhtiyar, I'm not saying that we don't seek the advice and follow the best of protocols. Of course, as a mu'min, it is a fitrah. In fact, it is obligatory upon us. The narration of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam proven that. But a state of submission is always unto Allah Rabbul Alameen. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. See, that is the state of a mu'min. That we know that no musibah, no calamity befalls us إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ, except that Allah has prescribed us, as ordained. And once Allah has ordained that, has decreed that, only then it comes. Again, here, my brothers and sisters, It is Tawheed. So if we don't work on this Tawheed and understood this fully, how can then we graduate? We want to graduate because a mu'min also want to graduate. It's not only the Muslim wants to graduate into a level of a mu'min, but a mu'min also wants to graduate into a muhsin. It's an ongoing process that we know. Now may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that really pay attention to this, and really understood that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the akal, the reasoning to actually follow this deen of Allah correctly, according to the teachings of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the example. وَخَيْرُ الْهَدِيُّ هَدِيُّ مُحَمَّدٍ sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The base of guidance, the base of examples is the base of guidance and examples of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we know this. So let it not be just something that we utter lightly with our lisan, but we don't follow through. Because with the lisan, one can get the passage of safety, or they can also get into trouble. As Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Salamatul insan ila fi hafdil lisan. The safety of a person is really in his lisan. So when we say that we believe in Allah and His Rasul, let it be true. Because if not, we may fall into the steps of those people, those nations before us. I think I'll end it here, my brothers, because I know it's been late. Some of you brothers coming a long way. And if there's anything that's correct of what I've said, it is from Allah. If there's anything that is wrong, it is purely from myself, from the lack of knowledge. And whatever benefit of this, may this benefit be one that is consistent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that seek the right knowledge. As Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also reminds us, we don't just want knowledge. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make the dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilman nafi'an wa a'udhu bika min ilman la yanfa'. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, Ya Allah, grant us a knowledge that is of benefit, and I seek refuge from you from a knowledge that is of no benefit. Because lots of knowledge that is of no benefit, often unfounded, no references, no evidence, it's simply a waste of learning. So before I close, yeah, please.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, please.
I just wonder, how do you respond, or how should we respond to our brothers and sisters who believe that Allah is Ahad. So the God is one, and because we know that the first pillar of Islam is Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So we reject the others.
Yes.
I mean, there is no God except Allah. But what about people who they believe that the only God is only Allah, but they also acknowledge that there are so many ways to go to that aim.
See, that's the problem with people, right? I mean, because that's just like, almost your brothers and sisters get that. I mean, people that acknowledge Allah is Ahad, but at the same time they say there are many ways to get to worship that one God. This is more the philosophical approach towards Islam, and this is what we have to be mindful about. Because listen. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق. It is He, Allah, who sent down Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a guidance and with the right deen. So here is when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, He is the only guidance and the right deen. ودين الحق. والذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. See, that's not only that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He comes with the right guidance in the deen al-haq, but Allah says, and He has made this deen triumphant, victorious on any other deen that have come before us and after us. So one that says that, oh, I want to worship that one God, but I'm going to follow a different way. How do you base that? Because every single wording of the Quran is praising Allah and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I'll give you another example. And this is one of the ayahs that's very, very famous, mashhur. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u rasul wa ulil amri minkum. Yeah? فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فَرُدُّهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, or you have believed, obey Allah and His Rasul. It's always after Allah, His Rasul. So for someone to follow other thing, he or she is misled. وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, and those that are pious, righteous amongst you. So we don't need to find, oh, in my country, that, perhaps one would have the argument that in my country, the most pious lives 2 hours flights away. Allah doesn't ask you to do that. In amongst you, in amongst where you live. So long as he follows that. Allah or Rasul. Qala Allah, qala Rasul. Yeah? But listen to this. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فَرُدُّهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِ. But if you differ in opinion, let's refer it back to Allah and His Rasul. Is this not conclusive enough? Right? ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَعْوِيلًا. That is better for you if you only understood the real meanings, the ta'wil of this. Ta'wil is an Arabic word that is used to describe something that is not clear. The ta'wil of the dreams, for example, we don't just go and ask. Here, a mu'min always follow Allah and His Rasul in that order only, and never any other way. I'm trying to give you another example that when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been sent down unto us, we get the clear understanding that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. I think I'll end this here. Indeed, through the personal, through the figure of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you shall find a good example. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really being very, very concise and clear and telling us that if you want an example, look no further. Look at none other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Khatamun Nabi, the seal of the prophets, the one that shall open the door of Jannah first. We are in consensus. Nobody else. The Malaika has been commanded and said, Ya Rasulullah, I've been asked by Allah Rabbul Alameen that I shall not open this until you come. The hadith is sahih. And this ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will be the first ummah getting through into Jannah, inshallah. So why would we follow? If there is an example that it's proven, it is solid, it is absolute, one has to wonder why we need to follow others that are uncertain. I hope that answers that question too. Anything else, my brothers and sisters? So the point is that if we say that we follow Allah, then we have to follow Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In every single occasion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for his guidance. So this guidance of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that we want to emulate has to come through learning. If we don't learn, we don't know. We just don't know which one is. How do we know which one is sunnah, which one is bid'ah? If we don't learn. So and so may come to us and tell us that this is the sunnah. The sunnah of whom? Because when we talk the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? If the rest of the prophets of Allah wants to come back again as an ummah, not as a prophet, Musa alayhi salam would be more than happy to become the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam if he can. And yet he is Ulul Azmi al Rasul. That is his, his title, One of the most cleverest, one of the leaders of the Rasul, Musa alayhi salam. Yet he said that he'd rather be the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Short in life, lots in amal. Amal multiplies. They don't have it. They don't have Laylatul Qadr. They didn't have Siyam al-Ramadan. They did not have all the benefit that we have. Yet we don't have to live life long. Living life long, my brothers and sisters, is not a bonus, because to live life, it's difficult. It's tiring. It's gruesome. At times, we get into trials and tribulation, and fitna of this life. If we have the option, a short life, guaranteed Jannah would have been just a ticket. So this is only this Ummah Muhammad sallallahu that has been given this. So I want to end this by saying that قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خير الناس من طال عمره وحسن عمله وشر الناس من طال عمره وشر عمله. The best of mankind, the best of us, is those who's been blessed with long life, with good amal. And the worst of us, those that live long life with bad amal. We all know which one we will choose. So with that, we hope and we pray to Allah, Allah give us guidance, hidayah and inayah to actually follow through what we aim as the ultimate gift, that is Jannatul A'la, Jannatul Firdaus. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that really take the majlis of knowledge and the learning seriously into ourselves, into our children, into the women under our guardianship, into our extended families, into our friends, and to continue to remind each other onto the straight and narrow path. بارك الله لكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما فيه من الآية والذكر الحكيم. تقبل مني ومنكم تلاوته إنه هو السميع العليم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
All thanks is to Allah. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All thanks is to Allah. Alhamdulillah.